Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 28 of Yokley, our no mods CS2 build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Cornegg University finally came to completion last episode, giving a much more finished aesthetic to the town of Benedict finally, with this hillside filled in. And today we'll be heading the furthest away from Benedict we've ever been as we turn our attention to destroying the lush countryside of Yokley, building a strip mine and lots of heavy industry out here to help us fulfill some deficits in the production chain, with some cargo train action also available today as well. Settle in some snacks, everyone. Welcome back to Yokley. So first up, let's have a look at our tile spaces today. So this is where our current civilization occupies over the last 27 episodes. But we're going to come out here today, looking at our actual resources. We have tons of ore, which is what we want around this area. It's also very conveniently located right next door to the National Highway. So I think we'll end up grabbing a lot of this today. What's that? 1.1 million. Now the cargo train line is going to be interesting here because it will be brought in today to export everything that's made here. There's a national line here, but getting a train line up that hill without triggering the train police might be my greatest challenge in Cities Skylines ever in today's episode. So let's get started out with a simple little interchange here. Just going to do 160 meters each side. Actually, then again, just briefly returning to tiles. We discussed national road connections out of Florentine, didn't we? I think we'll make that today, because I'm going to want this national road to connect into this interchange too. With our road guideline. So just 160 meters, and then I'm going to stick two. Actually, let's go a little bit larger than medium. Do large. Two large roundabouts, and then just really simple slip ramp exits without snapping to SAR length on. So we can land in the middle, and then repeat on three sides. So just some basic lane maths on the slip ramps as we come in, so people can peel off. Can't imagine an enormous amount of traffic actually using this interchange. So quite happy to keep kind of the... Remind me a lot of Arizona, these sort of interchanges. We saw quite a lot of these during the ILOS build. I was referencing Phoenix as inspiration. And then let's hook this road in now. The terrain is sort of gnarly through here, and there will be further towns out this way. But let's just connect this road from Florentine up into the new interchange. And there we go. So we have a little bridge feature here. And again, we'll have some smaller towns out here as time ticks on. Likely jumping back to Ithaca for some inspiration for rural builds out here. And we also mentioned another connection from last episode, didn't we? I guess we banked quite a lot of tiles, but I suppose we're going to use them at some point anyway. Yeah, we'll make this connection here now as well. So definitely respecting future builds, I want to have this one follow those field boundaries. I probably don't want it 4-lane all the way. Civilization will dissipate at some point, so as will the road hierarchy. So I'll just give a general marker there for future egg to downgrade the build. And then as we come back into, I guess, what is sort of Upper Benedict from here. We want another connection, I wonder. Maybe another bridge here too. Sorry, we get doing a lot of network prep here. I realise We're here to build a strip mine today, but we need to do some network prep first. And then this national road just follows the field boundary into here. And then we can just do another little country roundabout here. Something very satisfying about kind of late game CS when all those little network connections all start feeding together like we've seen in the last 2 episodes. Starting to demarcate some more builds out here for us now, isn't it? Check, the frames are considerably better out here. Because downtown Benedict is not remotely happy with it. And we can already see people using that national road infrastructure too. Peeling off. Of course, all that is going to take pressure off the Chungus interchange in the city centre. Because it's a way into the city without having to come through this. So I'm quite happy with that. Either way, let's discuss our strip mine, shall we? So taking a look at the natural resources heat map, we have a pretty immense amount of ore here. Definitely the biggest deposit on the map, I think. Another big one over here. But this one is a real beast. So this is where we're building. So first of all, I want to decide exactly how low we're going with the mine, because that'll determine how deep we'll be. And then from that, we'll know just how much room we need. So with this on, I do want like a big industrial battery processing site right off the highway here. So I don't want to terraform right here. So why don't we go right in the middle? Let's zoom in a bit here. And we'll just see what this looks like against current terrain. That is very deep. Terraforming police are not going to be happy with this, everyone. I imagine they'll be in the comments in great numbers today. But bear with it. Okay, I think I can go with that. So this will be as deep as the mine gets. And then on the bottom of this, I want to actually place our first building immediately. Everything in the mine will be dirt roads, and likely the roads around it too. And then we'll place our first stone mine right here. And I think we'll do a couple down this way. I'm going to turn off all snapping for this as well, because I want quite a fluid boundary of this bottom mine, if you like, rather than it's stacked very obvious 90-degree angles. So essentially just looking to fill this first layer all the way around the rim of the canyon we've just terraformed, essentially. But I think I'll actually break it here for a second work site. So these won't be powered or watered for a little bit yet. And then essentially the same again, let's also make sure we leave room for the road as well. Something like this as we begin to ascend through the layers. And we'll bring out the general shape of the mine. Let's go for this height here where the interchange is. Let's go for this over here. And then from this we can begin to just eat out the very vertical slopes with the slope tool here. And we'll have another one over here as well from this side. Don't worry too much about pushing into that bottom layer just yet. We'll terraform out once we have our general shape here. And I think I'll dig out another, I guess, mining plateau at a shallower level of the mine. Just around here. And then you can just see slowly, over time, as you begin to stitch these things together, these little layers start to form. They look horrendous at the start. So you actually see a lot of these things driving north on the M6 if anyone passes through. Kind of Cumbria on the way up to Scotland sort of way. You see an awful lot of exposed stone quarries from the motorway. If I can remember exactly where they are, I'm sure Editing Egg will be leaving up some footage of said mines if you're interested. Okay, so we can now start to gouge out this massive scar in the landscape, adding on these little mining pits as we go. So let's pop on the next two. I'll keep... Actually, I think I will mix and match, yeah. Let's do ore next to stone in this instance. And I'll come back to that angle just for the road. Hold that road as tight as possible. Sweet, so those bottom two ones are in now. Any grass is probably not welcome in the bottom of the mine. These things tend to be all just gravel and dirt and dust and stuff. So I imagine we'll probably Start to fill out with some sand in certain places too. Especially just to rid green from the bottom of the pit. We're going to coal mine over here too. So these should be big enough to generate the buildings and the vehicles once they're active. Let's plan that road that actually connects back to the highway here. So this slope here is going to be a major entrance for the pit mine. So we'll send it up this way from this junction. And I'll definitely narrow these ascending roads as well in terms of not leaving this much space either side. But that'll come with a detour in time-lapse. Go all the way out. It will soften out these levels up here. And we'll probably provide 2 different entrances back into the mine here, I think. So as a general outline road guideline, you okay, mate? What's going on here, I wonder? Advanced Yoakley mining techniques, everyone. You alright? Why? Why are you doing this? Okay. I've never seen that before. I'm entirely sure. Why it might want to do that. Are you okay? Are you okay? It's been fine down here. That's actually a very good spawn for the tooth excavator here. I'm very happy with that. Not so much that one, to be totally honest. Let me just perhaps amend. There we go. Maybe we'll just do that. I was doing it again. That's so strange. Okay, I'll deal with that later. We'll just have it there for now. So yeah, that gives us our general shape for the mine pit, and we'll slope out all of these and add much more extraction in around the center space here. So let's turn our attention toward some big, thick industry that's going to sit right by the highway here. Big combination of signature buildings, I think. So we want lots of dirty buildings here today, which supply chains will do a great job for us. So let's lay them out first. We have our blast furnace. I think the steelworks is certainly on board today as well. Concrete batch plant, definitely. This is oil, not really processing oil here. Casting fabricate, the same fabrication unit. It might work here. And the gravity separation unit we'll also put down too. Now I think we'll save things like the rocket fuel refinery to go with the oil area. Likewise with these 2 remaining supply chain uniques down here too. And so these are really big and very tasty assets, and they all work just so nicely together, don't they? They actually all complement each other very well. And we'll prioritize certainly the steel works first and foremost. This is our biggest asset of the day, isn't it? So we'll have it, I think, on an angle to the interchange is my favorite orientation here. Of course, we've known since the days of Palaven how much a factory can do for an interchange just next door to it. Okay, I think I'm fairly happy with that then. That works almost immediately. We'll go for quite chunky 2-lane roads through here. This is a fairly substantial factory complex. And we'll snap into the edges of the asset. Of course, this should all expand wonderfully in our detailing. So we're bringing out all these little yards here. That will help us remove a lot of green from this very dusty area, which I'll be happy with, I think. Another large asset which isn't in here is going to be the cargo train station that's going to export a lot of this stuff away. And now we did have some new cargo stations added, didn't we? Was it this one? It was the cargo transfer station, wasn't it? Compared to the regular cargo train terminal. Yeah, I think we'll go with this new one. Do we have upgrades on this, I wonder? We do. We have a storage warehouse with an extra track, which I probably won't need to make use of. That 3 is a little overkill. So let's find a happy place for this to sit in. I think I'm happy with pretty much where it is actually. I just want it a little more off-center. So we can make full flush concrete yard from factory to train terminal here. So that gives us a much more impressive visual industrial aesthetic here, doesn't it? Super. Let's bring in our next buildings. I think we'll look to do some slight fusing here. Let's bring off these roads. They will kind of connect as rail crossings, but they're going out this side only anyway, so they don't really matter. Bring this road up the side. And then we can delete this middle one. And then we'll find a happy location. I think back to back is the order of the day here, isn't it? If we can back it onto the fabricate. If we can just back it onto the steel works. Then we can pull that concrete straight up to the gravel. I actually think the most sensible play here is pulling the gravel down, isn't it? Bring that right up to the corner here. They're going to sit very tightly together, aren't they? Now, we do have national power line infrastructure installed, which I'd definitely like to utilize. So I think I might include a transformer in with the steelworks here, like it is having its own dedicated power supply fed in from the national lines here. Which gives me an excuse to have thick pylons follow the national road. So the dead connection is over here, which is slightly blocked by another map tile. Can we get that? Need those two. I might as well get them. We'll build out at some point. So let's connect this in, because this, of course, is plugged into the dam, which is actually powering a lot of the city and the power station as well, of course. That's going to really help with our visual factory aesthetic here, isn't it? Cool. So that should give power to everyone here. Water and sewage we'll take care of with usual pipework. And we'll bring our road out just where the road changes from highway back to dirt road. Connecting that new factory. And that gives us a nice little point of entry. Oh, the factory complex, which gives everyone their facilities. Super. Let's also map out those train lines too, just so we make sure we save room for them. This can be the master one. Then you can just peel off. Back into it. And then we'll go back to double track as it merges. Now where this is going to follow, I think just parallel with the national road is fine, but it's how it comes down. That's the issue. There is train line infrastructure there. Let's just have a look at the gradient here. I know it's not going to be fine, but we'll check how much we have to smooth out. So from pretty much top to bottom there, 12%, we're going to need another tile here. Now I think the best way is actually going to be tunneling under this road, or at least bridging under it. And then we can begin to map out a gradient. So let's crack this while we allow a bit of work to come through for the train line. This would only head to the outside connection this direction. It won't be going to all of them. Oh, that blends in quite nicely there actually, just to help us transition to the other side. And then ultimately, my, target, I tell you what, I'm going to do a bit more terraforming here. Cool. So with that in, let's go ahead and just time-lapse up this rail connection. I will smoothen it as much as possible. And then we'll see what happens with it. So I just couldn't tackle this gradient. It was horrendous. So we have an underground tunnel that leads us a little bit further down, so we have the space to play with. But we'll tidy all this up in our detail time lapse. Oh, that does give us, finally, cargo train connections, which I would love to establish. We'll have one here. I guess they'll both end up going to the same place, I suppose. course, going to Kettlewick, is it? It is, yeah. It is going to Biffers Kettlewick. Fantastic. Wonderful. So cargo trains can come in and out of our facility now. Let's address our next building, the old blast furnace. Again, I think aligned in a similar orientation to the station and the steelworks is where we want to see this. Could probably actually provide the road connection just by rotating here, couldn't I? Rather than bringing it all the way around the back. Bring our road up to the top. And that'll connect us in. A few of these do have upgrades. We'll have them all on. Especially the one at the steelworks. That doesn't have one. And then we're left with these, the gravity separation unit. I think we'll push maybe the other side of the cargo station, moving down to perhaps a dirt road here. As we get closer toward the strip mine. Again, these look like they work just quite nicely together, don't they? Really is a fantastic pack, the supply chain stuff, if you don't have it. Get it down below in Instant Gaming, which helps support the channel. Yeah, and then we can just have these little piles of ore aesthetic together. And then with the magic of the wonderful world of CS2 surfaces, we can really stitch these two assets in particular together. We spoke about this process during our showcase of these assets. Cool. Just so it expands it. Pretty simplistic stuff to do, but I think in the grander scheme, especially in the cinematics, we should be able to appreciate that. I'll also bring in some regular industrial zoning. I'm just going to go for a big batch of 6 deep. I'll probably pick and choose some assets I'd like to keep in here. And what are you immediately complaining of? High resource cost? I guess you're already complaining, are you? There we go. We can see our little mining trucks moving around now, which really does add a lot to the unmodded strip mines, I think. Happy with that. And then especially with a little orbital processing site as well, which I will actually hook into the mine road. Let's also bring in quite an obnoxious, very grey car park for a factory like this. You imagine we're going to have quite a lot of workers over here. In terms of public transit, I suppose I wouldn't mind a bus for workers. I don't usually tend to do buses in industrial sites, not for any particular reason. It's just something I tend not to do. Where can you turn around? I think we'll just do a little bus circle here. Add a stop onto it. In terms of where it comes from, the most obvious connection is from the quite busy intercity bus terminal up here now from Upper Benedict, which there's only actually 3 platforms left. Does it make sense for it to start through Florentine? I think it probably does, doesn't it? In fact, we have an empty transfer station here at Florentine already, so that will actually complete that. And then you can go all the way out to there. And I suppose it makes sense to stop at Florentine on the way back. We also have some other bus lines to name here as well. The Benedict to Saltina line we saw last episode. And then the Upper Benedict to Steelworks. Just so we can keep track of where everyone's going. I don't expect that will get an enormous amount of use, but we'll wait and see, of course. And here comes the first cargo train from Kettlewick. What has Biffa sent us, I wonder? A load of raw materials. Which I guess makes sense, because that's what we're in deficit of at the minute. Here we go. We just saw that come in. 152 of metal ore. It's nice to see this working now, at least in most aspects. And then I guess it's stone you're complaining of, is it? Yes, it is stone. Well, hopefully not too long before we get the rest of these pit mines in. Once we hit our detailing time lapse, which I think we're at a good point for now. Got a lot of forest space to fill out here. I essentially want the whole mine surrounded by thick forest, as if it's been, you know, really torn out of a very natural environment, if you like. Tidy up loads of terraforming work, and then some further detailing and embellishments of our massive factory district here. And the interchange, you guys alright? Have we had a crash? Yes, we have. Yeah, I suppose that's a bit of an issue for you, isn't it? But yeah, that's fine. That'll get cleared up. But the interchange itself does seem to be alright. It's flowing smoothly with industrial traffic on it. Seeing those buses there as well. And the National Road to Florentine. Yeah, there was some people mooching around here, isn't there? Very good. Very satisfying. Either way, grab yourself some snacks, and we'll be right back after some detailing. Alright guys, let's have a little look around our massive industrial processing site here, shall we? Just some basic detailing on the edge of the interchange, and there's getting some nice use now as well, some decent flow to this. With quite a few people actually taking these little country express roads back into Florentine. I can certainly picture the next rural town being based around this waterway here. I think that'd be quite a lot of fun, won't it? So I expect that maybe in the not too distant future. I think we'll go ahead and finish Hollandaise first before we head out here. Another episode over there just yet. But I really love the orientation of the factory. One of my favourite things about CS2 is the scale of the industrial assets in particular. So when we have factory against highway here, it's pretty impressive, isn't it? Just, I love that sight line. Really can't recommend the supply chains DLC enough to you. Really, really good. Coming down our road, this national highway now heads to yet another outside connection. Our big pit mine here has been polished off with trees and terraforming and whatnot. It's 5 separate pits, which has given us a nice little mix of machinery. Got 2 bucket excavators, some of these little pillar things over here, I don't know what you would call them. And then just a regular empty pit mine with vehicles moving around. So nice to have this enormous scar in the landscape, right? With lots of vehicles and dirt roads moving around it. There's some small industrial processing tucked in here as well. Surfaces and props in amongst the factory spaces emanating from the larger buildings, which I think is blended together really nicely. Especially to kind of take in samples like this, right? Like, for this to be vanilla industrial, like, it looks really good. I'm super happy with all the textures, the surfaces here. There's some nice orientation, I think, between these massive industrial assets, which already give us quite a lot of detail anyway. Lots more industrial zoning next to our cargo transfer facility, where we can see a train heading back to Kettlewick, of course. Biffa is currently helping supply Yokeley. More of that surface work down here on these 2 other industrial buildings, which I really like, almost like this is like freshly extracted ores being dumped here before they're then further processed in whatever unit they need to head to. More zoning through here, extended surface work like we looked at in the episode, and then more prop work, bringing out a little roundabout here. That just borders back onto that interchange with more props, factory supplies and processing all the way out here, which leads up to our transformer with some walking pathways. And then, of course, our bus station here, which is getting a little bit of use. It did take a while for them to start actually commuting out here, which it would seem. Here we go. There's also some light detail in here, a couple of those new bench piers to wait for the bus, and kind of like a twisted metal statue out the front of the steelworks. I think is pretty thematic, isn't it? That's the bus. Hello, people. People coming to work. Will you use my pathways? Yes, one of them is. Fantastic. And then just some like general workers' space, you know, if they want to come and eat their lunch outside in the fumes and toxicity of the steelworks, then they are more than welcome. With this pathway kind of acting as a bit of a boundary for the factory in the absence of fences in the unmodded game. And then that just runs around the edge to complete our big out-of-town industrial processing site, which is quite the scar in the land, isn't it? Especially when you look at this, like the strip mine is almost the same. It's actually larger than the downtown over here, isn't it? You're looking at the amount of room it takes up here in the grander scheme of Yokeley City. But a lot of fun indeed. We'll also swing by and check out old builds as well. You guys asked for this last episode. So we'll see how the university is getting on from last episode, where we have our bridge. Which I'm kind of glad I went with this, honestly. It's a nice kind of sight line for Upper Benedict, isn't it? These big truss supports. And we'll see a few people picking up the trams, of course, now. Plenty of people biking, walking straight out the front of this big centralized university. But hopefully we're seeing a little bit more walking around here now. Someone driving on my pedestrian roads. What are you doing? Stop driving on them. They're for people. You see that? But lots of people walking around the stadiums. Matches to be enjoyed. And we're really getting the Cornell vibe here, aren't we? With all these swooping, switchbacking pedestrian pathways back into different bits of the campus. Really happy with how this turned out. The centralization pathways getting quite a lot busier now. Before we sweep back down into all this wonderful stuff. It takes us back up. There's that traffic cleared up from last episode. I think it was just people moving in, wasn't it? Yeah, it's all fine through here now. Oh, it's still a bit busy here, actually. It's nothing horrific, though. Are we okay? I think it's just cyclists, isn't it? Cyclists are really hammering that. As always. Cyclists are causing more problems than they actually solve. But that's fine. I'm happy to see them. So yeah, some really nice couple of episodes in Yoti recently. Universities and strip mines. Speaking of the rail line here, I actually brought it back above ground. On a 2.7% gradient, train police should be pleased. I think. It's also very slightly recessed against the national road as well, which I really like. And it also provides a pretty phenomenal industrial sightline heading up this country road, doesn't it? Especially with our trains barreling down the hill here, alongside the traffic. So some really nice kind of national network prep in the episode today as well. Otherwise, guys, that will do it for today. Thank you so much indeed for watching. If you have enjoyed it, likes, comments and shares below do wonders for these videos. And if you're interested in supporting the channel, links to Instant Gaming and Patreon are the best ways to do so. I think today is quite a good example of how kind of the industries compare between the two games now. I'm such a huge fan of the industrial scale of CS2, especially with these big, thick factories from the supply chains DLC. They're almost better than the industry's DLC factories, in my opinion. I love this fat infrastructure, something CS2 does very well. A huge shout out to the patrons and YouTube members supporting these videos. If you want to get involved in that, links as always down below. Otherwise, enjoy the cinematics and I'll shut up and leave it there. Thank you all so much again for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.